What's up, guys? Rick here with a preview for this week's Mexico Open. We are going to talk golf course, the field. We're going to run some models, look at the numbers, and see what we can find. See if we can stay hot a little bit here as we go south of the border. Before I jump into that, we are being tested, I believe. I believe that this is a litmus test for our listener league. If you've noticed that these guarantees from Splash Sports have continued to climb. $5,000, $6,000, $7,500, $10,000. And that, I think, was very easy for them to do at the Genesis, at Pebble Beach, at signature events. Well, I was kind of expecting that guarantee to come down a little bit for the Mexico Open. It did not. This is like when Bitcoin is trying to break through a wall and everybody on Twitter says, this is a moment, right? Is it going to break through? Is it going to break through that number? It's tried 3 times. Is it going to do it? I don't know. It feels like that. I would love to fill this and fill it quickly because that would set us up for a pretty sizable run for the rest of the year, if we can do that. So it's $20 an entry. It's tiers. You pick one golfer from each of 6 tiers. Your worst score is dropped. It is already 20% full. You'll notice on the right, and I won't spend too much time on this, we actually do have another. This is the same contest we ran last year, which is a 1 and done, or actually a 3 and done. You pick 3 golfers for the Players Championship and the 4 majors. So 5 events, 3 golfers each. So you pick 15 golfers over those events. They slapped a $100,000 guarantee on that. That's wild. $250 an entry. So basically $50 for each tournament. Wild stuff. Also, each tournament is its own segment. So we've got a month until that, so I won't spend too much time on it, but link in the description for Splash. All the stuff is over there that you need. Let's get rocking and rolling. Let's fill it very quickly. I'll throw my 5 entries in here in just a second. Vidanta Vallarta, or now it has been rebranded as Vidanta World, is the host of this event. It's a Greg Norman. The Mexico Open has been around for a very long time. I feel like I say this every year. I'm sure that I do. It was only, I believe, a Mexican tour event, and then it became a PGA Tour Latino America event. Then it was a Corn Ferry event for a year or 2, I believe, before it got the bump up to the PGA Tour schedule. This is, I believe, year 3 or 4 of that. So we've got a long bit of history, but not really with the types of fields or caliber of players that it's going to get this week, even though by PGA Tour standards, this is a pretty weak field. It's a Greg Norman course. It is paspalum throughout. If you look at the regression model, which again, only a couple of years of this, it's not the gospel. It likes strokes gained approach. Makes sense, right? That's always a very valuable stat. It likes it so much that there are only 14 other courses on the PGA Tour schedule in which strokes gained approach is more correlated to success. You'll also see that a lot of the secondary stats are almost all approach or proximity stats. Literally the top, 8 are different buckets of approaches from 75 to 100, 50 to 125, 175 to 200, 200 to 225, some from the rough, some from the fairway, proximity to the hole, proximity from the fairway, proximity from the left rough. These are all by themselves very noisy, but together it points out that this is a golf course that the best second shot players really thrive on. You're going to see a lot of new names in the field for this week. Okay. You've got a lot of golfers that don't have full status that are coming from the Corn Ferry Tour, that are coming from the DP World Tour. We've got guys that played on the Corn Ferry last week, just a lot of different things. I'm going to show you the top-down satellite view, and I don't know why this is so blurry. I don't think it's me. I think it's just the satellite imagery is very blurry, but either way, we still have the measurements and all that stuff. So this is a resort golf course, but what do you notice about this golf course? I noticed that there is a lot of water out there. And that's true. I think there's water on 12 or 13 holes. It is also not really as wide open everywhere as you normally see resort courses. Maybe here where, you could technically hit it from one tee into the other fairway in both directions, but that is the exception, not the rule. what I see is a lot of bunkering, or they probably consider that native area. I see a lot of water. This actually reminds me of almost a golf course in Florida as opposed to a resort golf course in Mexico. That's the way that I see this. More Greg Norman Tiburon than Tiger Woods El Diamante. That's my sense on this. Still some decently generous landing areas. There are a couple of spots that will be of note. I believe 3 is one of them. Yeah, 3 gives you that. I love this. I always love a hole that has basically a 45-degree angle of some type of trouble, so that you have to decide where are you going to take your line, right? We're going to see that in Bay Hill a lot. So are you taking your line here, 283, and trying to carry that? Are you taking your line, here, 312, and trying to carry that? Are you trying to take it 340? No, probably nobody's trying to take it 347, but you get my drift, right? There's an infinite number of ways to play that hole off the tee. Par 5 here on number 4 is just basically straight up. The rough is expected to be around 2.5 inches for the week. I don't think it's going to be incredibly penal. So you just got to keep your ball dry. You just got to keep your ball in play. And I do believe this is a second shot golf course, but it does look a little bit different than what you would normally see in Mexico at a resort golf course. This one might beat me up a little bit. I would be okay at a lot of these, but this one might beat me up a little bit. I think the big thing to consider for this week is the field, right? So this is going to be an extremely weak field by PGA Tour standards. It has Akshay Bhatia, Kurt Kitayama, Rasmus Højgaard as the top 3 players in the DraftKings salary. They're the only 3 golfers over $10,000 for this week. We'll talk about kind of a little bit of the mentality behind some of this stuff here, but let's start with these 3. So you've got Akshay, you've got Kurt Kitayama, and you've got Rasmus. Akshay has been driving it very well. He's picked up strokes off the tee in 4 out of his last 5. The putter has been white hot for a long time. The second shots are a little bit all over the place. It's the short game that's a problem. I don't necessarily think this is going to be a difficult short game area, and it's not like he is completely incompetent, like maybe some guys that we're going to get to in just a second. So I think Akshay is really interesting. His history around this place is a 4th place finish 2 years ago. Did not play this event last year. It's guys like Akshay who've got to be licking their chops. And I know he won the Texas Open, but he is, clearly the class of this field. And I think he's going to feel like that when he shows up. This is the one that you think, okay, I've got a really good chance of getting after this. Similar profile from Akshay to Kurt Kitayama. Kurt Kitayama's also played this event once. It was also a couple of years ago. This one was in 2022. It was also a good finish. It was a T2. I know that Kurt's been a little bit popular as of late here in 2025, but we have not gotten the results that we were expecting. His run at the end of 2024 was a lot better than what we've seen in 2025 so far. I think the good news for Kurt is it does look like it's coming around a bit. He did not hit it very, very well from tee to green at the American Express, but is starting to put together gains. We need these weeks. We need these weeks of 7+ strokes from tee to green from Kurt Kitayama, not +2, -2, +2, +3. That's not good enough. So he's got to drive it a little bit better. He's got to hit his second shots a little bit closer. When he played here a couple of years ago, he was dynamite in those areas. He was basically picked up 7.5 strokes in the ball striking categories, but still at least a touch of a concern considering the way that he has not been off to a very good start in 2025. And when you talk about concerns, what are you going to get out of Rasmus here? Rasmus had an unbelievable run at Phoenix where he was in it, right? He was in the mix of it until Sunday, struggled on Sunday, and then he was miserable around the South Course at Torrey Pines. Very different golf course you're going to get this week, right? You're not going to get Poana Greens where he lost 7.5 strokes putting. He might just not be a Poana boy. He loses 2.5 strokes putting at Pebble. He loses 7.5 at Torrey Pines. I almost called it Riviera because I saw the Genesis Invitational. Maybe he's just not a Poana guy. Paspalum, maybe Bermuda, maybe we're going to find out. We still have a lot to learn about Rasmus. Maybe those are better situations for him. I don't think he's going to be very popular at all, considering the fact that he was miserable the last time we saw him. We've got Akshay, we've got Kurt Kitayama, and we've got some guys a little bit lower that I think are going to be pretty stout. I'm interested in Rasmus. And I'm also a glutton for punishment, right? Like I try to be the smartest guy in the room. Like, oh, he's going to be lower owned and 10, he's expensive and he's low owned and he played poorly last time. What excuses can I find for him? So I understand all that. I do just think this might be a POA issue. And the way that he hit it at Torrey was so different than the way he's hit it for the last year. I think that, again, show some grace, forgive a little bit quickly for Rasmus here. The 9K range is probably where I start to get really interested in some of these golfers, and I think it's where you're going to see a lot of the ownership start to click through here. So Sam Stevens is $9,800. I will tell you, Sam Stevens will be on my betting card this week. Probably 22, 25 to 1. He was 25 to 1. Then Maverick McNeely withdrew from this event down to 22. Here's what I see. I see a golfer who's played a ton of golf since the fall, and a golfer who's played a ton of really good golf since the fall. He has not missed a cut. He's got a handful of top 25 finishes and a handful of top 6 finishes, one in Cabo and a runner-up finish at the Farmers at Torrey, the one at the end of January. What I also see is a golfer who can be very, very good from tee to green, who can be very good with the putter, who has started to work with Joe Mayo on the short game. I don't think short game is going to be incredibly important this week, but I do know that he's been obviously trying to make some gains there. He has played this event once. It was last year. He missed the cut. Not particularly worried about that. If we go over to the Holy Grail and just look at everybody in this field since the start of the fall, which would have been September that week, like September 9th, he has played more rounds than anyone. You could argue that's good or bad, but the fact that he's played well and he's played a lot of rounds, I think is a good sign. So he's gaining 0.8 strokes total. Most of that is coming from the ball striking categories. He is positive throughout the bag, and he's played the most rounds of anybody in this field. I believe those are all good signs. Has contended. He's been in contention. He's felt the heat. I like the way that Sam Stevens is setting up for this event. I find Aaron Rai to be maybe the most interesting golfer here. Steven Yeager, Patrick Rogers have played better in the short term than Aaron Rai, but Aaron Rai is significantly better in the long term. Since the start of 2025, we haven't seen a lot of great play from him. It's similar to the Kurt Kitayama story. What I saw in 2024 was a lot better than 2025. I'm not ready to say that Aaron Rai has just forgotten how to play from tee to green, which is what the stats say. He's lost strokes from tee to green in each of his last 3. If you go back to 2024, that was the absolute strength of his game. I mean, he was a flusher, completely flushing everything. Of these 12 rounds that I'm referring to, 7 of them came at the South Course at Torrey Pines with incredibly difficult, thick, rough, difficult conditions. Fine. The other 3 of the other 4 came at Pebble Beach, and then one at Spyglass. He played pretty well at Spyglass, and he hit it well there. This is going to feel a lot different. Vidanta World is going to feel like a bit of a reprieve for Aaron Rai. I'm not willing to invest everything I have. I just think that he is someone of significance, especially in this price range. Speaking of golfers of significance, I'm going to click Harry Hall and I'm going to click Michael Kim. For the first time in a long time, I think I have to be a little bit bearish on Harry. Still one of the best putters in the world, but what separated him when this run in the summer where he got the victory, he got a bunch of top 10s, he took it into the fall. 2025, it's been okay, but it's going in the wrong direction. Continues to putt really well, but I do not like this. I do not like that he's lost strokes on approach in 3 out of the last 4. I do not like that he has lost strokes off the tee in 4 straight. That was the thing that unlocked a lot of the really good finishes for Harry, and if he's not able to do that, I'm worried. Okay, he's got two starts here, a T10 and a T33 in each of the last 2 years. Those are both good, but man, I hate staring at this regression from tee to green. That is very, very troublesome, especially on a golf course that's going to ask you to keep it in play, keep it dry, hit your second shots close, make enough putts. I am worried about this stat profile for the first time in a while. And then Michael Kim. Okay, so what do we have here? Michael Kim was very fruitful last week. I think he was the min price or $6,100. What was he? $6,300. Finished T13, well worth the investment. He gained throughout the entire bag. We had kind of saw this coming with the way that he played in Phoenix. The tee to green numbers are very good, and we know he has buttoned up a lot of the short game stuff. This is going to be completely different. I'm going to say that a lot, right? So T30 in 2023, a miscut in 2024. I will probably hold on Michael Kim. The way that he hits that high draw and can hit his long irons sets up really well for the last two places that we saw him. I think Vedanta World is going to ask a couple more questions than that. I also think it's going to ask for a lot more wedge play. I would be very impressed if Michael Kim found a way to find success this week. I'm not quite as optimistic as I was last week, and that's okay. Also, the $9,200 price tag is jarring, right? It's nearly $3,000 more expensive, which I don't care because of the field, but he's going to have to finish very, very high in this event to pay that off. If he doesn't, he drops back down to probably $7,100, and we can get him later in the future and not feel too badly about it. So I think this 9K range for me is Sam Stevens 1. I think it is Aaron Rye, if you like a little bit of volatility, 2. I think you could throw Taylor Moore in here as well. Let's look at Taylor Moore because he is starting to play a lot better golf. We haven't seen, okay, so this is the route that we're going to go. What's he done in Mexico? Hasn't played here in a couple of years. So, love that the driver's back. You're starting to see him plug the holes in his game. And 2024, there were holes everywhere. It was just red everywhere. It was miserable. Now starting to work through that. Has gained strokes off the tee in 9 straight, 10 out of 11. Still struggling on the second shot. Short game, very good. Putter, good enough. Love the upside. He's got 2 top 10s already in his last 4 starts. He had a T11 at Zozo. That was back in the fall, but that was a much deeper event than this one is going to be. I would definitely rather have Taylor Moore at $9,000 than Michael Kim at 92 and probably Harry Hall at 93. So I would have to probably slot Taylor Moore into like the 2.5 or 3 slot of this range here. There are some pretty strong options in the 8K range. If you noticed when I was showing you about Sam Stevens, Ben Griffin was also high on that list. I think he was second of golfers who've played a ton since the fall, but also have played well. He's like right behind Sam Stevens in a lot of those categories. He just hasn't done it in that high upside way that Sam Stevens has done it, where he's popped off for a couple of top 10s and a runner-up finish. Ben Griffin's just been very consistent, kind of those mid-tier finishes. Kevin Yu is $8,800. Kevin Yu is one of the best second shot players. I almost said in the world. That might be a little bit egregious, but he's very, very good and definitely in this field. So he's never played the Mexico Open, but he's gained at least a stroke and often more on approach in each of his last 5. Some of those were miscuts because he cannot putt. The theory behind Paspalum is that it does allow weaker golfers, because of the style and the blade of grass, to putt it better. We have seen that. If you look at all the other metrics besides the way that he putts, everything is running well for Kevin Yu, and he's putting together a couple of top 20 finishes, T16 in Phoenix, T17 at Riviera. Again, much, much weaker field this week. The defending champion, Jake Knapp, who has been untouchable for basically since his victory here last year. We've been talking about him a lot because he set up so well for Torrey Pines last week, and he had started to put together breadcrumbs that he was playing better again, gave us the result at Torrey that we wanted. Remember, he was min price. So if you went Jake Knapp, Michael Kim, which was actually a good combination that I had, unfortunately too much Rory in those lineups, not enough Scotty, not enough Ludwig. That was a very good start at the bottom for last week, and that was identifiable. There's a lot of reason to think that this is going to continue. You know, I like to see golfers who are getting better, showing that slow and steady progression, giving us opportunities to get in when it looks right. And then, of course, he's only played this event once and he was the winner, and he did it almost all from tee to green, 11.5 strokes gained from tee to green. He picked up 5.7 at Torrey Pines last week. So absolutely back in on Jake Knapp. No problem there. Looking to see what Nicholas Norgard does. He was top 50 in my rankings before the season started. You guys know that I love the skill set that he has. He's only played one PGA Tour event in 2025. It was the Farmers at Torrey a month ago, and he missed the cut, though it was a pretty decent missed cut. I mean, he played awesome at the South Course, and then he got the wrong end of the wave draw and had to play the North Course on Friday and got demolished. But he played, look at these numbers from Torrey, 2.8 strokes from tee to green in one round. That's insane. Okay. And if you go back and look at all of his DP World Tour stuff, it's phenomenal. This is going to be an easier golf course, but it's still going to be one that I hope he can overpower. That's my hope here. A weaker field, now a second start on the PGA Tour, maybe not as jarring for him. And then the last guy in this range, oh, I love it. I love when we uncover the birthday Easter egg. Happy birthday, Grayson Sigg. Just turned 30 today. Happy birthday. Wow. Good vibes all around. I love when I just stumble on top of that. Happy birthday, Grayson Sigg. Look at what Grayson's been up to. Again, the stretch that he had to finish off 2024 was some of the worst golf we've seen him play in his career. He missed, 8 out of 10 cuts, something like that. But since the fall, and I'll pull this back up here, where I'm sure I still have it up. Yeah, so this is everybody in this field since the fall. He is where? Right here. 0.8 strokes total over 35 rounds. That's very, very solid. T9 at Farmers, T9 in Bermuda, T4 in Napa, T11 at the Black Desert. So what does that tell you? It means he's got a lot of high finishes and a lot of pretty sour finishes as well. A couple missed cuts at T70, nothing special. But look at his results around this this tournament. T33, T18, T19, phenomenal tee to green numbers in all of them. He putted well last year. Yeah, it's Grayson Sigg time. I'm going to favorite him before I forget, but it is Grayson Sigg time out of that. So actually, what I want to do here is let me go back and get my favorites all sorted out. So I think I'm just going to leave the 10K range untouched. I'll go Sam Stevens. I will go Taylor Moore, get Harry Hall out of there. We're going to go Kevin Yu, Jake Knapp, Nicholas Norgard, Grayson Sigg. Okay, that gets us up to date. Let's go down to the 7K range here. Oh, okay. Yeah. There's guys here that I want. I can set this up to also just auto clear my favorites, but that is an option. I have them set to persist. Okay. Where do we even start here? I think we start with Michael Thorbjornsen. $7,700. We are still learning very much about his game and what he is going to grow into. Very young, very talented. Yeah, I mean, listen, he's raw. We've got to figure this out. The stats do not look great, but he's picked up strokes on approach in 4 out of his last 5. His best finish was a TA at the RSM Classic. He hasn't played a lot on the PGA Tour, doesn't have full status, all that stuff, right? But when we do see him, it always seems to be pretty impressive. And now this field is going to be similar to the one that he played in Jackson, T8 there. Remember, he had that T2 at John Deere last year. He's an incredible player. Just got to get everything tidied up a little bit. Things I never thought I'd say, but Andrew Putnam might be the best player in this range. So he's $7,800, and I love the improvements that he has made on the second shot. We are talking sustained since the John Deere, which was July of last year. He has only lost strokes on approach twice since then, and both of them have been fewer than a half a stroke over multiple measured rounds. The huge problem that he has is that he is going to blow 2 to 5 strokes to the field off the tee. But the places that he has done that at are places that it's kind of, he's got his back against the wall. Phoenix, which if you don't drive it well there, you're going to lose 4 strokes off the tee, which is exactly what he did. Farmers for Torrey, if you don't hit the fairway, you're going to lose 3.5 strokes off the tee, which is exactly what he did. We need Andrew Putnam to be a 0 off the tee. And that's exactly what he's done in each of his 2 trips. So he was a 0 in 2023 off the tee. He missed the cut in 2022, but he was actually a positive, 1 stroke to the positive off the tee in 2022. So this golf course is a much better driving course for Andrew Putnam than definitely the last 2. And even some of these, I mean, Zozo will beat you up. Shriners, if you're in the desert, you're screwed. Like, I get it, okay? But we need Putnam to be a 0. If he's a 0 off the tee, things go really, really well. Aldrich Potgieter, very young, very talented, mashes the golf ball. Has he played this event? I doubt it. Yeah. I would only be interested in Aldrich as a low-owned flyer. He's incredibly raw. He's got to figure everything out, but he's going to give himself such a leg up off the tee here. He's a pretty good putter for his size and stature and his ability. I worry about the second shots. I don't necessarily worry about that for Lanto. Lanto Griffin's here. He's $7,300. We talk about him a lot, so I'll keep this quick. He wins at Q School. He finishes T9 at the Farmers. He missed the cut in Phoenix. Basically on the number, he needs to be a 0 around the greens. That's his deficiency. He's very, very bad around the greens. He's got to be a 0 there. I don't think it's a huge ask. He's played here 3 times. He's never missed a cut. T15 was his best finish. He has lost significant strokes around the green in each one of those 3. So that's the only thing we need to clean up. Everything else looks very solid for Mr. Griffin. And then I got 2 more for you. The bottom of the 7K range, I think, is really interesting. My God, that is an incredibly high definition headshot of Chris Ventura. Oh my God. What did they take that with, an 8K camera? That is, I can see every hair on his chest and chin. I've never seen one that high def. That's incredible. Love this kid, right? We've talked about him a lot. He's a flusher, picked up strokes on approach in each of his last 3 measured events. That was the American Express, the Farmers, and Phoenix. Really rounding into a very solid player. I just love the state of his game. And then here's somebody who's coming over from the DP World Tour, similar to Andrew Putnam. It's Matteo Manacero. We need to be a 0 off the tee, Matteo. We need to be a 0. He has lost strokes off the tee in 8 straight. Fairway through green, very good, right? I mean, approach plus, around the green plus, putter plus, but we need to be a 0. I don't think this is a golf course that he can lose 5 strokes off the tee. I pray to the golf gods that statement is true. But there's some pretty good guys. And here's some pretty ugly options down there as well. I'm interested to see what the model is going to say, especially because it's a golf course that we don't have. I mean, we've got decent bit of data, but we don't have a ton of data on. I'm going to click Jackson Suber's name. I also wanted to pull up somebody else down here. I wanted to pull up his profile real quick. Let me see if I can find it. Okay. Podrick. I think it was Podrick I wanted to. Okay, let's start with those 2. So Jackson Suber, $6,900. Yeah, this is pretty strong here. So Corn Ferry last year was awesome, right? Bunch of really good finishes. He's driven it well at both the American Express and at Torrey Pines. Flush. Look at that. +6 on approach at Sony, +3 at the American Express, +2 at Torrey, positive around the greens, good putter. Has he played? No way he's played this before. Yeah, okay. That's pretty good. That is pretty good. Does he have any like Mexico? I'm just looking through his Corn Ferry results here. Sometimes they play like Bahamas, Abaco. I'm just like looking for some reason to find one other tropical result for him. I didn't see it. Good, bad, or indifferent. I didn't see it. Podrick Harrington's been beating up on the seniors. Here's a good ad for RickRunGood.com. If you want to know what Podrick Harrington's been up to, he's only been playing on the senior tour and the DP World Tour. The good news is I have all of that and strokes gained when available. I don't think this is the end of the world. What's the distance on this? 7,400 resort golf course, par 71. Played here last year, finished T52. Yeah, I think this is the pro. I think this is a touch long for him. He lost a stroke off the tee here last year. It's a touch long for him. He did drive it well at Ras Al Khaimah. He drove it well in Bahrain. He's actually been driving it pretty well on the DP World Tour, and he smashes the guys on the senior tour. So I'm not too worried about that. I'm kind of looking at some of the DP World Tour numbers. He's picked up tee to green in 7 of his last 7. But that dates of measured events, but that dates back to the Open Championship. So there are some events that are non-measured in there, but the non-measured events are basically all senior events in which he's crushed those guys. God, I just talked myself into Podrick, didn't I? Oh, I did. Crap. Okay, he's $6,500. Now, the rest of this range is really interesting. Guys that I don't know what they're going to end up being. So Carl Phillips, I'm going to click his name. Jeremy Paul, I'm going to click his name. And I also wanted to click, where is Kevin Velo? Yep. I'm going to click Santiago de la Fuente. Santiago de la Fuente. All right. Carl Phillips, somebody can correct me if I'm wrong here, was the Korn Ferry Tour Player of the Year, right? If he was not the Player of the Year, he was very close to it. He has not played on the PGA Tour yet. I don't know why. I don't know if he is dealing with anything. I don't know if it is a status issue. I don't know anything. But I love this kid. He is a very talented golfer, obviously. He won on the Korn Ferry Tour in Utah in August. The last time he played was December 1st at the Australian Open, and he finished T46 there, played awesome for 3 days, had a horrible Saturday where he lost 6 strokes to the field. He played well at the Korn Ferry Tour Champion. We just haven't seen him. I don't know what he's been doing. I don't know what he's been up to. I don't know if he's been injured. If anybody has any insight, let me know. But he is incredibly talented. Jeremy Paul also. Jeremy and Yannick, the twins. This is Jeremy in this field. He has played a couple times on the PGA Tour this year. I would say mixed to bad results. T45 at the Sony, T64 at the American Express, so 2 made cuts there. He missed the cut at Torrey Pines, the Farmers side of that. He actually he was on the bad end of the draw, but he played really well on Friday. He got smoked around Torrey Pines. Love his talent there. Kevin Velo is another one. He came up through the Korn Ferry. Has he played? Okay, he has. Yeah, this is worse than I thought it was going to be. So this is him playing 3 times. See, that's the thing. Phillips should have probably played 3 times, but he probably had the status to play 3 times by now. This would have been the schedule that I would have expected to see him play, Sony, American Express, Farmers. So I don't know what's going on there. But it seems like he's going to tee it up this week. Kevin Velo's missed all 3 of those cuts. And I want to see Santiago de la Fuente. Gosh, what another RickRunGood ad. Asian Tour, Live Golf, Promotions, PGA Tour, Major Championships. Oh my gosh, it's all here. It's not very good. His last 2 have been good. So he's played well in 2025. That's it. So he played the Live Golf Promotions event in Riyadh and did not make it out of round 1. They do a sprint, right? You have to finish inside the top, 30 after round 1, and then it's a sprint. So he played 1 round. He did not qualify, so he did not get a spot on Live. Played the Philippine Open. Is it the Philippines Open or the Philippine Open? T31. 3 really, really good rounds there. And then he played that international series in India. That's just the event that Bryson played at 2 weeks ago. That event. T19. Really good, 1 and 2 round player. He's played this event a couple of times. He made the cut here last year. I tell you what, I wouldn't mind Santiago de la Fuente. Santiago de la Fuente y Padraig Harrington y Carl Phillips is how they would say. They should let me do the first tee announcements. I would like that. Let's see what the model has to say. I'm not even sure what kind of model I want to run here. Custom model, RickRunGood.com. We definitely need weighted strokes gained. And I'm going to go a little bit longer term here. The reason for weighted strokes gained is that this will level out Padraig Harrington beating up seniors, guys who play Asian Tour events and Korn Ferry Tour events. So absolutely a week for weighted strokes gained total. I also think we need to do a pretty heavy approach situation, considering that was a lot of the regression stuff. Put 25 on strokes gained approach last 50. I also want something like keep it in play off the tee. So we'll do good drive percentage. We'll do 15 on good drive. We will do just 10 on scrambling. Actually, let's do 5 on scrambling, 5 on sand stage. There's a lot of bunkers out here. Putting on Poana, we'll do 15, and then we're going to do course history on Vidanta for the final 10. My number one golfer, oh boy. Yeah, sure, why not? Andrew Putnam. So that was kind of something I saw as well, and now the model says, yes, Rick. Kurt Kitayama's 2, Michael Kim is 3, that's a surprise. Mac Meisner is 4, $7,900. Akshay is 5, okay, he's probably a pretty good option. Hayden Springer, Justin Lauer, Lauer's played well here before. There's Aaron Rai, makes sense. Chan Kim is 9, Alex Smalley is 10, Sam Stevens is 11 for me. Where are the other 10K guys? Rasmus, I have at 52. Oh boy. Who else is did I get it? Akshay, and who was the other one? Oh, Kurt Kitayama's number 2. Okay. Wow. I love it. I love it a lot. Works for me. Go sign up for RickRunGood.com. Go sign up for the Splash contest. If you're new to Splash, I think you can use the promo code RickRG, all caps. I believe that works as well. We're going to go live on Wednesday. We're going to rock and roll. We're going to have a lot of fun this week, and I'll see you then.